Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of How Did They Build That? This is the Glide edition. In these videos, in this entire video series, what we are going to do is we're going to pick a template from the Glide template store and we're going to copy that template into our Glide account, and then we're going to look at how that template was built. And the whole purpose of these videos is for us to look at existing apps from the Glide template store and look at how they are built and learn a few things from each and every app that we look at, and so that we can implement some of those features in a brand new app that you might build in the future. So that's the whole purpose of this video. And of course, we are learning a lot about Glide itself, which is a great no code tool to build an app from a spreadsheet. So today I thought let's take a look at an app that I built, and this is called the Shopping Assistant app. It is available from the Glide template store, and so you can just click this button to copy this app for free. But let me tell you, since this is my app, let me tell you what it is all about. Essentially, you can take this app, with any other Glide apps, you can save this on your phone so that you can take this take this app with your phone, of course, to the supermarket, and then you can basically compare the price of two products when it is a bit difficult to compare. So let's say one product X, which is, let's say, 295 grams, costs you about $3.99, whereas product Y, which is a similar product, costs $8.99 for, let's say, 591 grams. So in this case, you want to decide between product X or product Y, but you can't really compare the prices because they are not the same. They are not of the same size. They are not in terms of the packing. They're not of the same weight. So it's difficult to compare. And so this app, this shopping assistant app, what this does is it allows you to reduce or calculate the price of product X for 100 grams. So now that you know the price for 295 grams, you should be able to calculate that what it might cost for 100 grams of that same product. And similarly, you now that you know the price of product Y, you should be able to calculate what is the price for 100 grams of that product. And now that you know the price for 100 grams of both, it is easier to compare both the products, the price of both the products, and you might want to either go for the cheaper one, or you might want to go for the expensive one. That's totally up to you, but at least now you have a fair comparison to make. You're comparing the prices of product X and Y, um, given that both of them are in the equal weight, so 100 grams itself. So this is what the app does. Let's copy this app. So in the background, what it is doing is it's copying the app into our Glide account. It's copying the spreadsheet as well, and it'll open up the app for us to continue editing. And then, like with all the other features that we have looked at so far, what we'll be doing is we will look at how the app functions, and then we will take a look at how it was built. Now, I did build this app when Glide still had the old UI and have not actually updated it after the whole redesign of this UI. So I don't know if there's anything that might not work, but hey, let's find out. Let's find out. So in terms of the functionality of the app, we have four tabs over here. Uh, the first one is per 100 grams. So if you have something that's weighed by grams, and even kilograms really, you can use this. So if you say the quantity is 295, it costs you $399, so it costs you about $1.35 for 100 grams of this product. And then of course you can do the same for the product Y as well, which was about 591 grams and cost me $8.99. And now you know that product Y costs you $1.52 for 100 grams of that product. So clearly the product X was cheaper, and then you can pretty much decide from there onwards. So that's per 100 grams. Similar logic in terms of the functionality, similar thing for per 100 ml. So this is if you're buying something in liquid, or if something is weighed in liquid, basically in either milliliters, then this is what you would use. And I think the calculation for liters, if I remember correctly, was a bit different. So I had to include this as an additional tab here. But essentially the outcome of these three tabs, in terms of what a user would do, is the same. You're essentially wanting to calculate the cost to a base price. It could be, per liter, per 100 ml, per 100 grams, anything. You want to calculate the price of to the base, and then be able to compare it. So those were the three tabs. And then finally you have the about tab. You have the about tab, which just gives you some meta information about the app. I've included an image, um, some markdown content here and it's rich text. So there's bold, there's headings, and there's a link as well. So now that we know what the app does and how it functions, let's take a look at how it was built. So the first one here in the 100 grams, I have three different fields. I have quantity, I have the price, and then I have an action text. So if I look at the per 100 grams screen itself here on the right, I can see that the source, the label is of course per 100 grams, which is what appears here. The source for this page, or for this screen, is coming from the sheet per 100 grams. So I have a spreadsheet, and then I have four different sheets inside that spreadsheet. And that's where the source is coming from. That's where the data is coming from. So the first field is coming from the quantity column. The second field is coming from the price column. And the third one, which is just an action text. So it's really just a text which also allows you to. So it's not just a plain label, it's not just a plain text, but you would notice that there's a button here. So this is just if you want to copy the dollar values and you want to save it in your notes or something, then you might want to use this action button. So this text, it comes from the value comes from this column called cost per 100 grams. The title is this, which is what shows up in the label, and the copy functionality is basically just the actions. It's like an action button, and it's an action text. So it's a text and an action button, and the action for this. So there's a whole bunch of actions here in the drop down, but the one that I've selected is copy to clipboard. So clicking this will copy that value to your clipboard. Now, when you select copy to clipboard, you can select a different value to be copied, and that's the one in the data. So this is what you can you can always configure this to copy a different value. I don't know why would you, but if it is against this label or this field, you'd potentially want to, most likely you would want to use the same column. So that's what I've selected. Now if I see the other screens, you can see in terms of the fields here on the left, um, here on the left it is the same screens, just different field values, but all the fields are exactly the same. You have two numbers, you have an action text. For the third tab, again you have two number fields here on the left, and then you have an action text, which is the calculation, which allows you to copy the values. For the about screen, I have a few different things. I have first is the title, which allows me to give me the title and the subtitle, which is the details. And so in this case, I've not really named the columns, and I'll get to it in a moment of why I haven't. Um, but it brings this value from column from item 3 and the details from item 4. The image is what is added as the second element here on the screen. The image comes from item number 2. Now I have hosted this image in a different location. I've hosted this image in a different location, and hence this image is being pulled from there. And then you have the third one, which is rich text. And this rich text is basically just markdown content. And the data is just placed inside this one here. Now, of course, you could use the rich text field, and you could link this with the actual column value. So let's say if I wanted to um, store all of this information, all of this rich text content in the spreadsheet, I could do that. Let's say it would have been item 5 as the column name, and I would only have to select that. But for this app, I prefer to just do it custom and then just store it inline as well, in just inline itself. But of course, it's up to you, whatever works. I would definitely say it's better to store it in the spreadsheet. At that given point of time, I might have thought it is just easier to store it here, um, because it was a template. But then, of course, it is much. It's recommended to store it in the spreadsheet. So if I would have to change anything, I would probably change this. If I had to go back and change something, I would definitely change this. I would store it in the spreadsheet. Now, in terms of the options, there's no other visibility options for any of these. The edit form is unchecked because we don't really want to edit this. We don't want any users to submit anything, or edit these values. And that's pretty much it, really. So this is a very simple app. Now, if I look at the spreadsheet, because that's where really the formulas are happening, we'll take a look at that. But in terms of the screens, this is all it is. There's just a few fields. Everything is driven by the spreadsheet as the source of all the data, and the app is basically just used as a UI um, front for this concept. So now to take a look at the spreadsheet, I click on the first option here on the top, and as you would see, I have like 4 different sheets in this spreadsheet. The first one is home, which what it has done is it has actually combined all of these. So this is quite unexpected, but then of course I did not rename it correctly. I did not name it correctly. So what has happened here is, because I had originally named the columns item 1, item 2, um, item 3, and item 4, what Glide has done is it has combined all of them. It has combined all of them into a single column. And this is especially useful if you're looking at an array of images, and if you want to have like a scrolling image section, which is also called as carousel, and you want to store multiple images for each row. What you do is you name different columns. So let's say you want to store 3 images, so you have image 1, image 2, image 3. And in the spreadsheet, it will be stored as 3 different columns, but in Glide, it will combine this and show you as one column, and you have like multiple items in this column. And we'll take a look at this spreadsheet in a moment, the underlying spreadsheet in a moment. So I will show you what that looks like. Now going back to the other three screens that we had, which was per 100 grams, per 100 milliliters, and per 1 liter. I have quantity, which is the weight of the product that you're entering. Then you have the price, which is in dollar value or in your currency really. And so you enter that. And then the cost, which is the per 100 grams. How much would it cost per 100 grams of the product? For that, I've used a math column type. So just added some formula, and then I have replaced the value of quantity and price with these values here. So just done some replacements. We have seen these replacements before. So I've just done some replacements um, and use this formula. And for precision, I've just kept it 1 with double points. I can always change this to a single precision if I would like, and then that would really change the value here. Similar thing for per 100 ml as well. I have done kept another calculation here, just a formula, which is interesting. It didn't actually show the formula itself. Um, I'll have to check that. And then finally for the third one, which again for some reason it's not showing up the formula. But essentially what I would want is the calculation should be a math type instead of just a number, and then that would enable me to do the formula. So looks like a few things are broken. Perhaps it is as a result of a few redesigns or a few updates. But the gist of it is that it's a simple, the gist of this whole video is that you don't only have to use glide app to if you have like a rows of data. If you have something like a simple calculator like this, you can very well use glide as well, and all you have to do is just use one row and just have some calculations here, and in your fields you just show the result of that calculation. And but one thing to note is that this is not per user base. So let's say if multiple people were to use your app, right? So you're not so in this case what's happening is I've kept it in the template store so that other people can copy this app into their account, and therefore then that becomes their own instance of the app. But let's say if you copied this app, or if you made an app that was similar to this with have some calculations, and everything is related to one row, and then you distribute that app, and some other users are using your instance, so you have multiple users using that one instance of the app, then what would happen is uh, because it's sort of like a real-time entry, if one user edits this to 591, the second user who visits the app will see these values. They won't know who has edited these values, but they will see these values. And so in this case, because this is a calculator, it might have that weird behavior if two people are editing or calculating at the same time. You might have cases where values are being overwritten because both of them would be editing the same cell of the same spreadsheet, underlying same spreadsheet. Now, the same holds true for other apps as well. If we have had a look at multiple apps before, like a planner app, for example, and so many other things which has a collection of rows, and you can update the data. But in that case, what's happening is even if you update the data, it's very unlikely two users are updating the same record. And even if they do, it is sort of like it's not a calculation, and so it's not like the calculations are getting mixed up. It is just data being overwritten. So it's a different context, but it's important to note that when this might be a problem, and in which cases it might not be a problem, and it depends on the number of users as well. As I said, if you're using it for a personal, one user, one instance, completely fine. Multiple users for a single instance, you might run into problems. So something to keep in mind. And now that we've had a look at this, let's revisit this home tab a bit for a bit and click on the spreadsheet. So as you can see, this is the underlying spreadsheet. This is the underlying spreadsheet, and you have item 1, item 2, item 3, and item 4. And what Glide does is it combines all of those into a single column. That's just how it works. So that's just something to note. So that was a really quick demo of Fred, which is a shopping assistant that I built using Glide. And another video in this, how did they build that series. I hope it has given you some insights of what to do and also what not to do and when to be careful of using values like this. And so I hope it's given you some insights. If you do like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. Give this video a quick thumbs up. And if you have something to say, if you're thinking something, if you have any questions, feel free to enter your questions, your comments in the comment section down in this video. Enter your comments and I'll get to it. Also, I'd encourage you to subscribe to this channel so that you will get more of my videos from this channel on your YouTube feed. All my future videos, you might stand a chance to watch them again. And that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and see you in another video. Bye bye.